I wouldn't be caught dead in Banlon because we watched Season 6, Episode 17, The Doorman.
The Doorman?
The Doorman. Hello, Katie.
Hello, Derek.
How are you?
I'm okay.
How'd you like The Doorman?
I didn't think I would like it
Mm.
because when I mentioned which episode it was earlier today, you went, ugh.
Yeah.
So coming in with super low expectations, I kind of liked it.
Pleasantly surprised?
Well, I forgot that it had the bro.
I think The Doorman is so detestable that, like, I didn't like it. I didn't really like how he was portrayed. I didn't really like the storyline to start off with. We'll talk about it. But The Doorman was written by Tom Gamble and Max Pross.
Oh.
It's a Gamble and Pross joint.
Yeah.
It was directed by Andy Ackerman. It aired on February 23rd, 1995. Vulture.com ranked it as the 58th best episode.
That's surprising.
Screen Crush had it at 35.
What?
Yeah.
Do you think there's an automatic bump with having Frank and Estelle in it?
So in the description of why they were ranking it, Vulture was like, oh, a surly doorman, tries to ruin Jerry's life. And also we get the bro and man's ear. And then Screen Crush was all just about like, what do you prefer, bro or man's ear?
Yeah.
Once again, we talked about how the scofflaw should have been renamed the toupee.
Yeah.
This obviously should have been renamed the bro.
I think it should have been named the man's ear.
So interesting that you bring up this debate.
Yes.
So in the original, first draft of the script, Gamble and Pross only called it the bro.
Okay.
Larry David was like, no, you got to change it to man's ear.
Oh, I love this.
And then they couldn't decide on which was funnier, so they incorporated that argument into the script.
See, that makes it a good episode for me. So who are the guest stars?
Just a myriad
of
revolving guests. Not revolving guests. I was going to say a myriad of returning guests or a revolving door of returning guests.
Just
and
twirling.
Forward, not backward.
Yeah.
Upward, not forward. And twirling.
Come on, who's in it?
Always twirling. So we had, Jerry Stiller, Estelle Harris, Jason Abercrombie, Rennie Santoni, Patrick Cronin, all returning as Frank, Estelle, Mr. Pitt, Poppy, and Sid Farkas.
Okay.
We did have Larry Miller playing the doorman.
When he was on screen, I just wrote that guy.
That guy, yeah. He's been in a whole bunch of things. 10 Things I Hate About You, A Mighty Wind, Pretty Woman. He's like one of those actors that you're like, recognize immediately, but you don't remember where from.
Does he always play someone unpleasant?
Well, that is a good question.
He just has that big Irish potato face that they're just like, yeah, you're a dock
He's
worker.
Like
you're
slick and
smarmy,
scummy and greasy. And anyways, he was best friends with Jerry Seinfeld.
Oh,
and apparently it was like one of the last final candidates to play George over Jason Alexander.
Oh, wow. I'm so glad they chose Jason Alexander.
Yeah. I think Jason Alexander can play a better Larry David than... Sure. I mean, we didn't give Larry Miller a chance to play Larry David.
And his name was Larry.
But I can't see him playing a good Larry David.
Yeah.
We also had Edith Fields, who was Mrs. Peyton, who demanded that Elaine replace the couch.
Yep.
She was in Moonlighting, Cagney and Lacey, and a movie called Mr. Saturday Night.
Let's throw it back to last week when I asked you if you remembered this episode.
There's a smarmy doorman that Jerry and Elaine contend with.
So?
How'd I do?
So?
How'd I do?
So?
How'd I do?
I can't remember. I think you nailed it.
I remember that Jerry fights with a doorman.
Yeah. I'll read the synopsis Jerry and Elaine have run-ins with the doorman at Mr. Pitt's building. Frank and Kramer develop a new undergarment for men.
How many episodes ago did they have Frank and Estelle separating?
I don't remember that it happened. So I want to say at least 20?
We'll check the tapes.
Yeah. Why did they separate?
Well, you remember George was complaining. I can't remember.
He was just complaining that they were
They
fighting?
just got sick of each other.
Okay.
Remember, he was like, "Oh, I got to do 2 Christmases."
Yes,
and
yes. So did we actually see them, or was it just referenced by George?
No, in that episode, I can't remember which episode it was. I feel like it was 6 episodes ago.
No, it was 25 episodes ago.
That was 6 weeks ago, which I'm sure feels like forever. You think it was in season 5?
Maybe.
Anyways.
So the stand-up starts with Jerry talking about the doorman strike.
Yeah, and how you should never show people how useless you are.
I laughed at this one. What are they going to do? Open the door themselves?
What was the other job example that he gave?
Oh my gosh, I don't remember.
I was trying to think of if I had to come up with another useless job of you shouldn't go on strike because people are just going to be like, well, we don't need you anymore. I was elevator operators.
Yeah. What was the other job he said?
Real estate agents.
Ooh. Yeah. So I after the stand-up, I just wrote that guy, and then right on to the next scene with Frank stinking up George's apartment with Kasha. George mentions that he stinks up the apartment.
Oh, you didn't jump right to the end?
No, that's just in the end credits.
Good episode.
I think I found myself watching it more than writing stuff.
Oh, yeah?
And I think it was because I didn't find anything with the doorman to be funny or interesting.
So my notes for the doorman aren't very big. So until kind of later on, but Jerry walks in and he's like, "Oh, you here for a quickie?" Mm-hmm. And then Jerry's like, "Can I just go?" And then he's like, "Oh, what about the next?" And he's like, "Oh, small talk." Blah, blah, blah.
You think you're better than me?
Well, I would argue that small talk doesn't include having sex with my my sexual practices and schedules.
So when he starts chirping Jerry about this, I wrote down, what is this affectation? Or what is he doing here? And the closest I could get is he has a chip on his shoulder.
The whole doorman thing, it just doesn't seem, I don't know if it's not relatable or not believable or not logical, but the way that this man is acting is insane, and we don't ever really get a reason why. Yeah. Give me a memory or
or have Jerry say or do something rude.
First off, or Jerry cut this guy off in traffic, and so that's why he's rude.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Something like that, right?
It's
in a service-based position, you would think that this man would have over the years developed, the ability to crush down what you want to actually say to people and just have,
But he knows that Jerry doesn't live there.
Yeah, but you would figure he would still just have a put on a grin and, yes, thank you. Hello. Oh, great to see you. That's what a doorman is, right? You don't make it as a doorman being a smarmy jerk.
So I was looking it up, and chip on the shoulder kind of perfectly describes it, but also something called the hunchback heuristic, where it's sort of the opposite, where people assume something about you because of your station or what you look like, such as you're a doorman, therefore you're stupid. Mm. Whereas a chip on the shoulder is him saying, you think I'm stupid because I'm a doorman. Mm. So it's
right,
the partner, stereotype to the other.
You have a hunchback. I assume you're going to claim sanctuary in a 16th century Catholic church.
Exactly. So
the doorman storyline, I felt like it was going nowhere. I wasn't interested in pursuing it until it got to the scene where Jerry and Elaine leave the lobby after the couch has been stolen and they're in Jerry's apartment and they got the film noir. Listen, see, we got to get our story straight. You came to pick me up.
I came to pick you up.
That's what, you're not helping. That whole scene, I think brought me in and like made me care about the storyline. Because it was maybe just Elaine and Jerry and like
Yeah, I was gonna say I think they
didn't involve the doorman.
They probably tried to use Larry Miller too much.
Yeah.
So even in Mr. Pitt's apartment, when they're talking about, well, I can't leave yet, the doorman, and Elaine's, like that is more engaging than Jerry talking to this doorman.
Yeah. Why did you follow him home? He said you harassed him. So apparently Max Prost
harassed a doorman?
Well, one night he works in a building and he like was walking down the street and he saw the doorman of his building waiting outside the building where he lived, and he thought that was insane. And that's why he included that in the story.
But he can't stand outside his own building?
I mean, like if you're a chef, you probably like don't want to like have to cook dinner when you get home.
Yeah, so if someone saw you in a restaurant, they wouldn't be like, "Oh, you're working here too?"
Or if they saw you in a kitchen, wouldn't they be like, "Oh, you don't want to be in a kitchen? Like you got to be in a kitchen too when you get home?" I don't know.
I was thinking about these buildings with doormen in New York versus not, and also the apartment buildings in Fraser, Seattle.
Mm-hmm.
Because, Fraser's building, I forget what it's called. But I was thinking of like Niles's, he's at the Montana. I don't remember. But maybe just because, I don't know, the cities I've lived in are younger, they don't have like as many sort of landmark apartments. Like my friend lived at the Tip Top building. Mm-hmm. Like you would say, "Oh, I live at the Tip Top building," because everybody knows that. Yeah. But if you said, "I lived at Telegram Muse," like, where's that?
What was Fraser's buildings called? You got me stuck on this.
Sorry.
So also in Telegram Muse, there's a, like, would you call him a doorman? You call him a concierge? I'm
choking on the word.
Choking on the word after outing my coworker for not being able to pronounce concierge.
Yeah, you have that. I was going to talk about that too. Like the doorman is functioning as a concierge. He's receiving packages and stuff, but
he's not opening the door. He's not on his feet like, "Welcome, sir."
No. So like, why even have a doorman? Just have a concierge.
Why don't we make these lazy concierges start opening doors for us?
Exactly. I couldn't believe there was nowhere to mail a letter within like 15 minutes of our apartment building.
No, I know what you're talking about because we've talked about this, but we'd like to fill listeners in.
So you can get your mail.
Mm-hmm.
But if you want to mail something, the concierge wouldn't take it for you.
Mm-hmm.
Even though presumably a mail truck is going to show up. They didn't accept mail.
Right.
And there's like a find a mailbox service on the Canada Post website. And I put in our address on Telegram Muse, where we used to live. And it's like, closest mailbox is at Front and Bathurst. And you're like, that's so far away. You just built 15 towers in this one block and you didn't put a mailbox anywhere?
To be fair, Canada Post didn't build any towers.
I know, but I mean, we had a postal code. They knew that people lived there. Don't they collect data?
I don't think Canada Post assigns postal codes.
Well, who signs them then?
I don't know, the government.
Through Canada Post.
Well,
where did they come from? Some bureaucrat is just like, you're going to have a 0 on your postal code.
It's not from Canada Post, though. Like, it is another government.
Which one?
The Economic and Social Development? I don't know. Somebody's assigning postal codes.
Canada Post is.
No, I don't think so.
They handle the post.
I don't think it's them. I don't think they have that power. I think they're just as
it's literally in their name. He had breasts.
I was throwing up all night.
Big breasts.
These were real hooters. You laughed at that line?
Yes.
Kramer actually eating food on set while the scene was being filmed.
George calls it his personal crying game.
Mm-hmm.
I have not seen it. Have you?
No.
I, in my head, mixed it up with Boys Don't Cry.
When you just said that, I mixed it up with Sophie's Choice.
Crying Game was named the 26th greatest British film of all time.
Was that where a girl pretends to be a guy?
That is Boys Don't Cry.
Okay.
The Crying Game is about the IRA.
Oh.
That was surprising to me. And
people in the IRA have breasts?
there's a gender mix-up in the Crying Game.
Oh, okay.
Kramer refers to Frank's, you're carrying a lot of weight up there on the top floor. I think I laughed at that too.
You laughed at Kramer maybe more than any other episode ever.
Yeah. Because
scheming, thinking Kramer, you like. Physical action Kramer, you're not on board with.
I think I like him more since Cosmo.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
He's been running from it his whole life. Now he's just embracing who he is.
I think they're treating him a little differently in the writing since Cosmo.
Fair.
So we get the great scene in George's apartment. George has gone to get his mom.
Mm-hmm.
He's trying to get his parents back together to get his dad out of his house. And they come in and Frank has bought a cha-cha record and he gets Kramer to bring the record player over so he can listen to it. And they walk in to Kramer putting the bro on Frank with the cha-cha music playing.
Mm-hmm.
Just, mwah.
So this is the first time we've seen, at least this version of George's apartment. I think we've seen other George's apartments.
Yeah, this looked new to me. A lot of, baseball stuff.
Well, since he, started working for the Yankees.
Yeah.
And this is the set that they use for the rest of the series for George's apartment.
It looks small.
There's like bedrooms down the hallway, and there's a kitchen.
There are. Well, we didn't really see the kitchen, but just from his front door to the window, it basically just contains that couch.
Yeah, fair.
Compared to Jerry's apartment.
Jerry's apartment is big. Yeah.
Yeah. Bro's no good. Too ethnic.
I wonder if Larry David said that exact thing.
Probably. So, do you know what banlawn is?
It is a type of fabric.
Yeah.
And it's like bowling shirts.
Oh, yeah. Old man shirts.
Yeah.
Yeah. Almost exclusively. I looked it up. There were no pictures of clothing made with banlawn that weren't old man bowling shirts.
Didn't we look it up when George sold his dad's clothes and it was like his beachwear?
Maybe.
And Frank refers to his banlawn?
Oh, I don't know.
So I have a question for you.
Yes?
How was Jerry responsible for this couch?
No. Yeah. The whole Doorman storyline doesn't make any sense at all. If you're the board of this building...
Yeah, you're like, oh, I asked one of the guests that I'm supposed to serve to cover my job while I went and got a beer.
Well, he said I went to the bathroom.
Well, he told Jerry he went to get a beer.
Yeah. Could they not talk to Jerry and be like, what's your side of the story? He said he was going to run out to get a beer and was gone for 45 minutes.
Yep.
And I'm not a doorman, so I left.
My building doesn't even have a doorman.
I can open the door myself.
I wonder how many doormen went on strike in New York.
That's a good question. And did they come back or they're just like, nah. So I wrote down, is Jerry Stiller laughing for real? And I think it is in Sid Farkas's office. It looked like genuine laughter.
They were hucking it up pretty big. I don't know. I didn't find that scene particularly funny.
No. But I think Jerry Stiller was actually laughing. And then later on, when you laughed, I think he and Jason Alexander were trying not to laugh in bed together with the kasha.
They apparently had to film that scene several times because Jason Alexander just kept breaking whenever Jerry Stiller would just...
You could see it. He had his head dipped really low to like not look at Jerry Stiller to get through it. I like that.
I saw this clip, I don't know how many times, when on Twitter when the Leafs had Andre Kasha playing and he did anything good. This was the clip that I would see.
Frank getting into bed with his slippers on.
Oh my gosh.
His open toe like schlapti with the flat bottom. Yeah.
Why? I don't even wear socks in bed.
No. And there's, they're talking about the couch. You had me lying in urine. Poppy comes back. He pees on the couch again. Like, I don't know. The German tourists, I don't know. There was a lot going on.
There was a lot going on. Apparently the scene where Kramer is walking down the street with the record player and the German tourists are following him is a homage to the Marathon Man, when apparently like a bunch of like Jewish people are following Nazi.
Oh.
Yeah, it's very film.
Filmic? I'm not cultured enough. What's the difference between Calgary and yogurt?
Yogurt?
My Gert?
I remember this clip from Instagram only because the guy couldn't understand when the British person kept calling it yogurt.
Yeah.
He was like, what do you... And then they got somebody to translate, and then the guy was
yogurt.
Like, what's the difference between Calgary and yogurt? But I don't remember the punchline.
Yogurt has culture. So for me, that's it. Slippers under the covers, kasha in bed, and you laughed.
You bought Yoggies?
Oh, yeah.
And they're like yogurt-covered pieces of fruit?
They're so good.
On them, they advertise 20 billion cultures. It's a lot.
Yoggies have culture.
Yoggies have culture.
You opened the package and they went flying all over the kitchen.
It was a Yoggi explosion.
Yeah, they were really good. Oh, let's have some yoggies.
Sure, yeah, let's do that.
Can you have too many cultures? Like, I have a sensitive tummy. Should I limit myself?
Maybe you need more. Maybe you need that fecal matter transplant.
Are you offering?
If you want to eat my you can have as much as you want. Did you see the TikTok where the girl was like, I don't eat ass? Because, like, what if somebody has a peanut allergy?
Yes. And you get a whole peanut.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, what more to say about this episode? It is what it is. Do you have anything more to say about it?
Nope. Oh, I do. I noticed Elaine is wearing 2 earrings in one ear again. But her earrings looked like American corn pops. There was one sort of roundish one, and then there was one sort of squished corn poppy looking one.
Oh, interesting.
Oh, so do you have any corrections?
No. Do you?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
We were talking about hair spiders last time.
Oh, yeah.
The like blobs of hair that always...
For a second, I was picturing spiders in your hair.
Those are called lice. This is what I found. On a microscopic level, hair's structure is barbed. It's smoother one way than the other, so if a fallen hair gets on your clothes, without holding in the ends, it has a tendency to get pulled in with agitation.
It's like a porcupine quill.
Yeah, so short hairs tend to just fall to the ground and not work themselves into anything. Longer hairs stuck to clothes and like woven and tangled up into the hair spiders. And that's all I have.
So I have an omission, which I don't know if you heard about this or not. You know that Jerry Seinfeld is currently on tour?
Oh, yeah?
And he recently, at the end of his show, did a Q&A where they said this.
Did I like what? The ending of the show. Well, I have a little secret for you about the ending. But I can't really tell it. Because it is a secret. Here's what I'll tell you, okay? But you can't tell anybody. Something is going to happen that has to do with that ending. It hasn't happened yet. And just what you are thinking about, Larry and I have also been thinking about. So you'll see.
Is there a Seinfeld movie?
So just what you are thinking about. So that was about like mid-October that Jerry Seinfeld, like the 12th or 13th. On October 14th, The Independent interviewed Julia Louis-Dreyfus, and she had this to say, and I quote, "Yeah, I just saw last night, and I don't know what the hell he's talking about."
Okay.
So take that for what it's worth.
Okay, interesting. What do you think it means?
Have you seen the Seinfeld finale?
No, but I've seen reference to it. I know that the last shot is them in jail, right?
Last shot is of them in jail.
That's all I know.
Okay. I can't talk about it without spoiling.
Okay. I don't know why they're in jail.
Right.
So in 78 episodes, you can tell me what you think.
Yep.
The next one is called The Jimmy.
Jimmy.
What's it about?
Jimmy's getting angry.
Is Jimmy a person?
Jimmy is a person. Jimmy wears special shoes and he can jump really high. And Kramer, just remembered this little bit of, we'll see how the next one goes.
Okay. That's it.
Jimmy doesn't like it.
Bye-bye.
Jimmy's been checking you out.
Bye.
Bye. Believe it or not, this is our podcast. Please subscribe at the end. If you subscribed, we would be happy. Please subscribe to us. Believe it or not, it's our podcast.
Is that a Seinfeld reference?